Greetings and welcome to Game Design Lesson 3, Drawing in Game Lab. In this lesson, this is the first lesson we're actually getting through and doing stuff in coding. Also, I'll be going over the worksheet that you need to do at the end. So you have the question of the day, start with that, think about that. You'll be needing to answer that as well. But with that, we're going to jump right into this. The videos, I will have links or you can come back and watch them. I'm not going to play them, but basically we're just going to go through the lesson and then I'll go and explain the assignments. So as we go through this, it's important to understand, and I mentioned this the last time, last couple of lessons, understanding how this works, right? The 0, 4, 0, 0, 400, 400, running, how you add stuff, how this works, where rectangles are placed. So as we go through this, right, I'm going to point out important things for you as we go through this, but you should either be following along or doing this and just looking at this video if you need help. Either way, the point of this is for you to get the experience doing this and understanding, right? So the videos mostly to explain little gotchas, things to watch out for later, because you should kind of be walking through this, pausing as needed as we go through. So first off, I'm just going to run this. So you should kind of look at this. Where do you think it's going to go based on this? That cursor thing helps you a lot. You can kind of see that 78, 104. It's probably really small on your screen. But again, let's run the rectangle. There it is, right? And if I route the cursor down below show grid, below the reset button, you should see, well, right now it's 199, but essentially 100, 100, that's where the rectangle is. And I mentioned this, it's that top right corner. That's where rectangles get placed. So that's the first part of this, just kind of looking at the code, how things are work. As we go along, you'll see more and more tools in here. But this first lesson is really just trying to get you used to getting shapes into it. How do we make that happen? So the next thing is a video. Again, watch the video, pause this, go in. I should have a link for it for you below this video. Watch the videos. The point of me is going through and going over the actual lecture part with you. So the next piece, place corners in the squares. I am going to make sure we stay in JavaScript, and I might need to restart some of these because I've been using this for other things. So place things in the corner, right? We want it in each of the corners. Again, this is your directions. You should be doing this before me, trying it out, and then I'll give you the answer to it. But again, the corners, so we run this, that's not in the corner. Couple of things. Remember, it's the corner, top right corner. So if I do 0 here, that's 0, 100. So if I do 0, 0, that's 0, 0. I run it. That works fine. However, if I type in rect, and I don't know what it is. If I type in rect, so a rectangle, and I type in 400, 400, don't forget your semicolon, and run this, where did it go? Well, 400, 400 is right here. So the square is right here, right? If you follow my mouse around, right? The square is down here because that's where it's going, right? So if we can figure out how wide this is, and if I go over here, it's about 50 wide. So if I go back 350, 350, that's going to put the top left corner, sorry, right here, which, there we go. Now the whole thing is inside of it. So again, some gotchas you're watching out, especially when you're doing rectangles. So again, we have one more video that, again, you can pause this, watch the video, then come back, talking about how you can change stuff up. And it's all about the order, right? It's all about the order that you do everything in. Sorry, again, I'm going to probably do this. Sometimes I may or may not need it, but we'll look at this. So let's first, again, this is what it wants it to do. I run it. This is what we have. So simple as, and it is just typing in the color. You can also use, and I think it will show it to you if you, you can pick different things. If you know how to use RGB, you can use RGB. You can type quite a bit of different colors, but for this, right, I can type in yellow. And if I can type in orange if it wants to be orange. So yellow. So just doing that, fix part of it. Now we know that this is 100 over, right? So again, knowing what is what, this is this one. I know that because 100, 100 is right there, right? So therefore, I know my x is going to be 100. So let's go ahead and type in rect 100, comma. Now my y, I know this is 50, and I know this is 100, 100, so 150, 200, right? My y is 200. So I run this, and there you go. I'm in the color. So again, understanding over your semicolons, understanding your x and your y is huge for all of this, right? If you're like, why is it not going where I want it? When we get to movement, it's all based on the x and the y. So we'll move on to the next one. You might get some sounds eventually. All right, so in this case, again, I am going to start over. We want to make it look like that, right? We want the green over the blue, and this goes to just the order things happen, right? So I have a red, I have a blue. So if I changed the things around, all right, so let's do this first. So right now, the green was on, the blue one is on top, right? The blue one is on top because it is the last one to go, right? So the red square gets put down, the blue square gets put on top of it. So if I go ahead and move them, so I'm going to Control X, Control V, and run it again, all right? So now the red is on top. All I need to do is change it to green. Again, it didn't move their positions, right? The blue's still down here at 200, 200. But by putting it above the red at the time, it goes first, and then the green one puts on top of it. Again, this is another important concept when you're, especially when you get to backgrounds and whatnot, that you're going to cover stuff up if you do stuff in the wrong order. All right, one more, and then I'll go into what you need to do for the rest of this. So I think, yeah, okay, this is initial version. So we'll run it. A lot of times look at it, look at the code. You know, you got to run it and see what's going on. So in this case, 100, 100 is the center, right? So remember, that's the center. Now this is ellipse, and an ellipse that has the same width and height is a circle, right? That's what's going on. So you see a circle here because the height and width is the same. So we want to add another one. So I'm just going to copy this, and it looks like it wants orange. Now, if you want to do, you can do HTML color names. And you should be able to use all of the names here, right? There's a ton of different names that you can use. But we can use orange. Now, 100, 100, it looks like we want it to go over, actually it looks like it wants a dead center. So if we look at this, this looks dead center. And luckily, right, if this was a square, we couldn't do 200, 200, because if we did that, it would put the corner in the top and the whole thing wouldn't be. But ellipse is already in the center, so we do that, and now that's direct center. We have a different color. It says you can do any color. Again, it doesn't really matter. The point is understanding how this works, right? If you change the colors, move it around, as long as you understand what you're doing, that's important. Now with that, that's the lesson, right? So hopefully you watch the videos, you did this first. This is just kind of making sure that if you get stuck, you can get through it, point out some things. But the next piece that's going on is the practice, right? So this is part of your assignment that you got to turn in. Now, depending on the lesson, you'll have, well, all the lessons have a worksheet. So again, I already said answer the question of the day. Now you went through it, you can talk about it. But in this case, this is the practice. Every single one will have the practice, assessment, and challenge. Now, basically you're going to do all the ones it tells you to. So it's named. So in this case, debug car and debug a flower, right? So you're going to do both of those. Now, you should do all of them, but you're going to have to at least turn these in, right? So if you read the directions, put a final code with the name of the top corner. What that means is you go into here, you make sure you have all the code correct. So you run this, it does not look like this. So you need to get all the code correct, have it run so it looks the same, and then you're going to, however you need to do this, I have GreenShot on my computer. You can use the snip tool. So I just hit print screen and I get my little crosshairs. But key is you need to get your name in this, right? So you know you're not just using someone else's materials. Grab the whole thing, all the code, all the pictures showing it's working. Grab it. Mine pops up and it also copies it automatically. and then I can just paste that right into there. And then I just go back to this. And again, depending on the lessons, most of the lessons are going to make you do most of them. For this first week, I'm not having you do all of them, but you'll do the ones it tells you to do. You'll paste it in there. You'll always do the assessment. So that's the next one. You'll always do the assessment. Again, same concept. Finish it. Copy. Make sure your name is showing. And then you move on to the challenge. And the challenge, again, in this case, it wants you to do these three. So it's by name, right? The new block point, the fill, the weight and point, right? So basically these three, you're going to do those three that it tells you to do, and then make those pictures and turn it in, right? And then you just do your share. Make sure it's anyone with this link, right? Anyone with this link, copy a link, and then you're going to turn that into your assignment, right? That's how you finish these. For your assignments, that's how we're going to go through all of these. So if you ever forget, you can come back to this video and remind yourself how to fill this out. It should be fairly self-explanatory, but just in case, the video's here. That's all there is to lesson 3. We'll see you next lesson.